What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on Gordon Racing 412. This is a Nitro gear case, and as many of you might know, it is one of the most important parts for getting a lot of speed out of one of these 3-cylinder OMCs. Now, the Nitro gear case came factory on the short shaft version only of the 75 horsepower. Those short shaft motors were extremely good for boat racing, especially on these little boats that we have here. And the parts are getting hard to find. But thankfully, a company called Gear Pros a few years ago came out with an aftermarket gear set for the Nitro gear case. Interestingly though, instead of just producing the standard 1.87 gear ratio, they actually chose to make two other gears. They made a 1.78 gear and they made a 1.91 gear. So we thought it would be interesting to buy one of each one of those different sets of gears and see what running some different gear ratios on this boat will do. So we're going to swap lower units and see what some different gears will do. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I have talked about gear ratios in the past. I compared it to a bicycle, where something like the 1.87 gear would be like riding a bicycle around in third gear. And changing to the 1.78 gear would be like shifting to fourth gear. It'll be harder to pedal, but you'll be able to reach a higher top speed. Something like the 1.91 gear would be like shifting down to second. It's going to be easier to pedal, but your top speed will be limited. The gear ratio itself just means that the engine has to spin 1.87 times in order to spin the propeller once. We're not going to be running the 1.87 gear again because that is the gear ratio that was on the boat in the last video. So if you haven't seen the last video, go watch it. But if you have seen it, then you'll know that this thing did a grand total of 76 miles an hour with prop number 3 and 77 miles an hour with prop number 1. I can also tell you that it accelerated from 50 to 70 in 5.2 seconds with prop number 3 and in 5.6 seconds with prop number 1. So those are going to be our baselines. We're going to use that to compare with the data that we get now. Now, I want to make one thing very clear for this test is you probably are going to have to change props. When you do a gear change like this, it makes sense that you would have to. Each prop is tailored to every gear. But we don't have that many props. So we're going to be running these tests with the same two props. And we're going to do each test 2 times with a different propeller. So let's get the 191 gear ratio on there and see just how limited the top speed's going to be and see if the acceleration is even better. So let's go.
The data. We'll see what it says. My eyes are watering pretty good on the second pole coming back into the wind too, so it's tough to see.
7,800.
Yeah. She's screaming.
I guess I'll get my laptop then.
I feel like it still lays pretty hard up till 70, but then it kind of lays down a bit right there, right? And then 70 to 70 to its top end isn't...
Come here. Yeah.
It's kind of slow.
So, as you probably just saw, the boat lost mile an hour. It topped out around 73, 74 miles an hour. That is to be expected. Now, the interesting part was that the 50 to 70 mile an hour time actually slowed down quite a bit. It ended up being somewhere around 6.5 seconds with both props. And I think the reason for that is just the RPM was so high. You could hear it. It was revving 7,800 RPM. And I think the motor was just running out of steam up top. Didn't have enough to get it past that 70 mile an hour mark. So it may have skewed the data a little bit. But I think if we were to do like a drag race from 0, this gear ratio would beat the other ones to 50, 60 miles an hour, just not quite 70. So, a little bit disappointing in that. We were hoping it was gonna really pull hard to that point, but it is what it is. So next up, let's bolt on that 178 gear and go see if we can hit some big top end numbers. Just like that, gear ratio tests are done and dusted. The 178 gear, it did work. It actually accelerated better. It took about 6.2 seconds with prop number 3 and 6.2 seconds with prop number 1, sorry. And with prop number 3 it did 76 miles an hour, and with prop number 1 it did 77 miles an hour, which is a 1 mile per hour gain on both. So a little bit better top end. The RPM was down a little bit to 7,200. Overall, probably a good gear to run around the lake with. It keeps the RPM down a little bit, still gets you the top end number that you're looking for, which is what everyone wants on the lake. So yeah, there we go. 2 different gear ratios tested, but I think we're gonna stick with the standard one for now. We might get back to these later, but we'll see. All right, Delta number 3. Getting this thing ready to head to the cottage for the long weekend. Hasn't even been fired yet, so this will be first fire up of the year. It is a different power head than last year, but it is also nothing too crazy. Just a good running stock power head. So I'm gonna fire this thing up, make sure it's all good, and bring it up to the lake this weekend. Full throttle check. That is full throttle on the pedal. Almost.
Give it just a little bit more.
Just about full throttle.
You still full throttle?
Yep.
We are there. Okay, let it off. It's going right down to idle. That's right where it should be. This car's closed.
Oh, kill switch. Where's that?
That's a good question. Whose life jacket's this one?
That is her life jacket. Hey, remember that kill switch you just found? For Code Red?
No, that was a full kit, was it not?
I'm pretty sure hers was too.
That was in my toolbox.
I didn't ask you, Leia.
That was a kit I bought off Amazon.
Are you sure? We didn't steal her kill switch last year? Leia!
Sure.
We don't need your opinion. Thank you. Alright, no kill switch fire up. Kill switch works. Yeah, it's always nice when they start first try and battery's not dead. Another Delta running. As long as it stays running, we're good. All right, I think we're gonna actually throw this thing in the water, go for a little test run, just to make sure everything's good before we drag it all the way up. Plus, you know, my dad gets fired up. As soon as he hears one of these things start, it's, let's go for a little ride. So, take it out, do a little test ride, make sure it's all good. I should definitely be working on mellow yellow at the moment, but I get fired up too, what can I say? Start it. I don't fit in this boat very well.
Be running okay? How does it feel?
I mean, it feels good. This boat just doesn't handle like my boat does.
I know.
It doesn't want to do the same things that my boat will do. And I don't really understand why. I think the trim is still too low. It just didn't, I mean, part of it is it's got less power than what I had last year.
Looking at it too, in the rooster tail, like when you're more so cruising, I'm thinking the motor's low too. Maybe.
The motor's too low? It might be, and that might be part of it.
Anyway,
It still feels good. We gotta fix, the wheel needs to be clocked.
How much?
Like, I feel like when, we'll check on the camera, but I feel like in a straight line I was like this.
Okay.
And then as soon as I try to throw it into a corner, I can't find my down button because it's all the way over here.
So it would be better to try to straighten the wheel,
Right.
what it needs to be at full throttle.
Right, and then I'm trying to like trim it up as I'm coming out of the corner, and I, you know.
Yeah, she always said she had a problem.
Well, when you watch the footage of her last year, it is the same thing. She's a full turn, her trim button's upside down,
Yeah.
and then she's halfway down the straight by the time she gets her wheel back and she can find it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if we clock the wheel one turn.
So no hiccups as far as the way the motor's running.
No, it ran fine. I got distracted. I forgot that's what I was even doing. Out she comes. Pretty successful test. Sometimes the camera's really close to my face.